We have just come off the air from a sweltering York Hall in Bethnal Green with the 2025 Revolution Rumble. Dave Bradshaw here with Andy Quildan, the owner and booker of Revolution Pro Wrestling. And Andy, I tell you what, it has been a hell of a day for so many reasons. Let's get right into it. We talk about Revolution Pro Wrestling being a place where dreams can come true. And I want to talk about two men for whom that was the case. First of all, the man who was the first ever British heavyweight champion here in Rev Pro, a sentimental favourite for many, but I don't think that many of the fans here in York Hall today probably thought that Sha Samuels could go all the way and win the Revolution Rumble.
No, I think that's the beauty about professional wrestling, isn't it? You know, the fact is that anyone can win on any given day. It's something that we've been touting for a long time now. It's something that's been almost proven to be very true, as we saw that tournament for the #1 contendership for a match that I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, Char Samuels, you know, like you say, someone that a lot of people have written off, someone, Char Samuels, has spoken a lot about the mental pressures of professional wrestling, the fact that he's written himself off on numerous occasions, but the fact remains that he was able to get himself together. He wore his first pair of professional wrestling boots into a Rumble tonight, and that was very symbolic, I feel. And I think that, you know, in those times, perhaps not, you know, for anyone who's wrestled, it's like having or anyone who's done any kind of sport, right? It's like having the first pair of shoes, right? They might not be the most extravagant, they might not be the most comfortable. We all remember the feeling of that first pair of football boots that we wore, you know? And I think that anytime Sha Samuels was in trouble, you had that reminder, this is what we're doing, this is how far we've come, and can I plug into the system and become the old me, so to speak? And it was just a fantastic moment to see, in the way that York Hall came unglued. I think Sha Samuels singly won the Rumble not once but twice. It was just nice to see, wasn't it? And sometimes it is nice to see the good guys finishing on top, you know, and like you say, Sha Samuels, the first ever undisputed British heavyweight champion. He calls himself the King of York Hall, and I think he's taking his place back on that throne here tonight.
Well, Char Samuels closing out the show with victory, and he's a man, of course, towards the end of his career, but at the start of the show, a man at the start of his career, also fulfilling a dream. What a month it has been for Nino Bryant, who by the 1st of June, coming into that day, had not won a match here in Rev Pro.
Likes to reminded
us. Since then, he's obviously qualified by beating his brothers to get into the British J Cup, won the British J Cup, and 8 days later, he has ended the 300-plus day reign of Will Caven as the Cruiserweight champion.
Absolutely, and that was something to behold as we opened the show with Nino Bryant, who's certainly one of the stars of the future. That's one of the great things about Revolution Pro Wrestling across the years. You can see all the people who've started their journeys here with us in Revolution Pro Wrestling, or maybe not started their journeys, but Revolution Pro Wrestling has been the first place to give them the spotlight and highlight them in ways they deserve, and the first place for them to start grabbing the attention of you know, wrestling headlines around the world. And I think that this last whirlwind few, I'm going to go back all the way to the Trios Grand Prix in November, and say since November, it's just been a whirlwind time for Nino Bryant, and to see it culminate tonight with him victorious for that undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship was something that's great to see. Again, a sign and a message to people that hard work pays off. And listen, you can say what you like about him, but you have to give Will Caven credit where it's due, because Will Caven's another one who he's been a fighting champion, he's been unpredictable, he's been someone that no one thought would have captured the championship when he did, and he's someone who's held onto that championship relentlessly, should I say ruthlessly, and you know, he's not a challenger after challenger after challenger, defying all odds, really. But he was knocked off his perch today by Nino Bryant. So it's going to be interesting to see how Caven responds to this. And it's going to be interesting to see how Nino Bryant responds to this as well, because trust me when I say winning the championship is just the first part of that journey. You know, people often look at the championship as the end goal, the end destination, and they don't look beyond that moment. But from the moment Nino Bryant pinned Will Caven's shoulders to the mat, that was a moment he had a target drawn upon his back. So it's going to be an interesting time for Nino Bryant. How's he going to cope with the pressure? The big look, it suggests he's going to cope with the pressure very well, but it's one thing going into something as an underdog like he did in the British J Cup, like he did in tonight's Cruiserweight Championship match. In fact, I might go as far to say, as this is one of the few championship defenses that Will Caven went into as favourite. And that could have been the difference in this match. It's about that hunger, the chip on the shoulder, the mentality of proving people wrong. It's very different on the top of the throne. Someone once said, it hurts a lot more getting punched in the face when you're making more money. Right.
Yeah, well, Nino Bryant will probably be making a lot more money now. He's the Cruiserweight champion, but the two other attempted championship wins tonight did not go to plan for the challengers. I want to talk about TK Cooper, who challenged Michael Oku for the Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. And of course, that no disqualification match where CPS came up just short against the Young Guns. What are your thoughts on both of those matches?
Physical, like very physical in very different ways. The Young Guns match with CPF was, I think CPF proved a lot to everyone, that they may have not come out with the victory, but I think a lot of people wrote CPF off. I think the Young Guns included wrote CPF off. The CPF have done an excellent job over the past several weeks getting in the Young Guns' head, and they more than held their own in that environment, didn't they? And they cashed in that trophy. I think what may make CPF feel a little bit more comfortable is the fact that they've still got two trophies left. Of course, one's held by Maverick Mayhew and one's held by, you could say, one off Joe Lando and Danny Black, a few of us there. But, it gives them further opportunity, doesn't it? It gives them further opportunity to test themselves. But, yeah, I think that CPF can be very proud of themselves for the way they held their own against the Young Guns. It was physical. It was spectacular. It was gruesome. You wanted to look away, but you couldn't take your eyes off it all at the same time. It was just one hella spectacle. And then when you talk about spectacles, even in the more traditional sense of words, TK Cooper against Michael Oku, that was one of the all-time classic Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship matches. It shows you just how important that championship gold is, the most important gold in the whole of Europe. And you could see both men left it all in the ring. TK Cooper took some huge risks in that contest, and many of them paid off. But again, he learned what so many people have learned in the past. Michael Oku is one of the most durable professional wrestlers in the world today. He fights with his heart on his sleeve, and he's able to get the job done against TK Cooper. And I think for long periods of the match, the crowd could sense the tide in Revolution Pro Wrestling starting to turn into the favour of TK Cooper, and there's almost some disappointment that I wasn't able to get the job done. But again, much like Nino Bryant, but for very different reasons, it's going to be so interesting to see how TK Cooper responds to the result of this contest.
Yeah, an emotionally charged match for sure. Another person who did get the job done, though, was Kanji against Emerson Jane after Jane beat her last month. So Kanji getting back to winning ways, and in perfect timing, really, because we had a massive announcement during the show today that July 25th, we're back at the hangar in Wolverhampton for Summer Sizzler 2025, and we are going to be joined by the Undisputed British Women's Champion, Mercedes Mone, who's going to be making another title defense. Tell us more about that.
We talked about Summer Sizzler. It was a Summer Sizzler tonight, wasn't it? My God. And then everyone in the ring, I'm sweating just like that here. Yeah. So hats off to everyone in the ring tonight. But yeah, Summer Sizzler, we all know what happened last year at Summer Sizzler when Michael Oku went toe-to-toe with MJF. Now, listen, Summer Sizzler, we're coming to the hangar in Wolverhampton Friday, July 25th. Mercedes Mone will be there, will be defending her Undisputed British Women's Championship. Who the champion will be, Davey, we need to have a little tournament. We saw what happened in the tournament for a #1 contender to the Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. I feel like it'd be great to see the women.
So is that an exclusive? You tell us that there's going to be a tournament to determine?
I'll see how I feel when I wake up in the morning. But yeah, I think you can look forward to a tournament to see who's going to face Mercedes Mone. I think we're looking at, obviously, July 6th in the 229. Likely destination for semi-finals. In the finals, July 13th in Coventry. I think that seems to me to be a logical thing to do. I think it's going to be, just because those are the 2 dates we have between now and July 25th. It seems like we get no break. It's boom, 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 boom all the time. But I think that's what we need to do. I think we need to find out who is the #1 contender. There's going to be many women who would be excited for that opportunity.
All right, now that wasn't the only announcement regarding Wolverhampton. We had a couple more, one about Summer Sizzler and one about another night we've got coming up at the hangar this October. Do you want to tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, of course. So at Summer Sizzler, as well as Mercedes Mone defended that undisputed British Women's Championship. You are also going to see the return to Revolution Pros of Bushi and Tetsuya Naito, of course, now Los Tranquilos de Japón. So they will be coming back to Revolution Pro Wrestling July 25th from a hangar in Wolverhampton. If you want another scoop, well, I don't know if we should be speaking about it now. I don't know when it's free. I don't know if it's anything about the Rumble, but Michael Oku has demanded a championship match at July 25th, Summer Sizzler, and he wants to put that championship on the line against Ricky Knight Jr. after what Ricky Knight Jr. did to him. And Nino Bryant, after that match, you saw there was real venom for Michael Oku in that Revolution Rumble. He made a beeline for Ricky Knight Jr. I've never seen Michael Oku that angry. Literally moments after the broadcast went off air. So
They've helped me.
we still got to dot some I's and cross some T's, but that seems to me to be the destination. We'll see what happens, you know. Of course, Char Samuels, after winning the Revolution Rumble, he's got a match of his choice, a date of his choice. He made it very clear he wants an undisputed British Heavyweight Championship, but where's he with that shot? That's a discussion that we need to have as well. We need to get those contracts signed. A lot of work to be doing coming out of this show, and there's not a lot of time to turn this around. So, tomorrow we get to work. So obviously, yeah, that's July 25th, the Summer Sizzler from a hangar live in Wolverhampton. And I don't know when this is going to go out. Hopefully this goes out on Monday. And if it does, those tickets, the ticket pre-sale starts Monday, as in today, if you're watching on Monday, at 7 p.m. So make sure you're there for that show. It's going to be huge. And then following up, like you say, another announcement for the hangar. London should stop being so expensive. October 18th, Saturday, October 18th. It's quite a topical announcement. Fantastic Mania, UK 2025 will be taking place live from the hangar in Wolverhampton, much like last year's Fantastic Mania events and the year before. There will be 2 shows in one day featuring, the top stars from CMLL in Mexico. Of course, as we get closer to the date, we'll start revealing some names who may be at the show on October 18th. But it's a party. I love the Lucha Libre style of wrestling. It's great that it's becoming more prominent. All I'm saying is you can look at any interviews that I've done over the last couple of years, and when I've been asked about our relationship with CMLL, and I've said it openly on public record that I believe Lucha Libre is the next evolution in professional wrestling. Mix it with that westernized style, or find that right mix, and I think that's what will create the next boom period in our great sport, because I believe it will capture the imagination of fans from across the world. The bright outfits, the spectacular moves, and you mix that with the pure raw emotion of the style of wrestling that we know and love. And I think that is honestly just that winning formula. And I've said it, like I say, said it on public records. Now look what's happening in the wrestling world. So get on board this train. That's why, just look at the growth over the last 2 years since the first Fantastic Mania UK, and tell me I'm wrong. October 18th, hangar Wolverhampton.
Well, the Rev Pro train certainly building up a head of steam as we continue with this remarkable summer. We should go and rehydrate, I think. So, Andy, thanks as always for joining us. A couple of big announcements there, and what a night we've had here in York Hall. Andy, I'll see you soon.
No problem. I did tell you you'd have some exclusives this week, didn't I? So we've got a week off now.
Great journalism. Excellent journalism on my part, I feel like.
And back to 229.
Let's see you there. See you there.